Right, this is the next Flavia video. The next task, I've just collected the engine from Cirencester, from Mike, who's replaced the rear seal because it was leaking. He rebuilt the engine, but unfortunately it was leaking oil, so he's replaced the rear seal. So the engine is now here, there, in the back of the Range Rover. I wonder if they ever make a two-engine version of one of these Range Rovers. That'd be quite quick. So borrowed engine hoist. Next thing, whip it out, get it on the ground. It's almost like these Range Rovers were built for the job. Just enough clearance. Look at that. Oh. Looks like we almost know what we're doing, doesn't it? Great, that's that out. Get the fleet back in the garage. Get the Range Rover put away. I thought you may be interested to see the reason why this engine's had to come out again. It was leaking oil. See some small drops coming from the bottom of the crankcase. Behind the flywheel is this seal, and that seal was basically letting oil pass. So that seal's been changed very carefully. So hopefully once it all goes back in, it will be leak free. So that's the first job. The car's in the garage, and I'm actually going to take the bonnet off first, which is just, I've only put one bolt in each side because I want to try and get the engine up in the air, get the car into the garage so I can actually shut the door, which means I won't have to move the car this evening because I know it won't be a done job by the end of today. So bonnet off, engine up in the air, car forward, see how we go. My plan is to move the car forward so I can close the garage door, and drop the engine down or bring the car up. Obviously I've got to mate the gearbox as well, which is quite tricky on your own, so I may have to wait till I have a willing volunteer. So let's shove the car forward, see if it will then go. That's about where I want it. I'll come back a little bit. Apply the handbrake. Let's see if we can clear the garage door. Yeah, that'll be close. I've got the control in my hand. I know the car can go forward a little bit, but it's these stays here. Beautiful. Right, this is progressing slowly. Engine's dangling on the hoist, on my loaned hoist, which needs to be returned to the garage that I borrowed it from. But I'll just show you. This is the sort of my method of taking it all apart. So that was what I did. So the first thing was to remove the radiator and drain the coolant, and I shoved the fixings in a bag. So these are all my bags. So all I need to do is work my way from the bottom, find the fixings. So bag number 13, gearbox to engine. Luckily I can read my handwriting, no one else can, but that doesn't really matter. So the next thing is to try and get the gearbox in place and it really is an easier job with two. One to move the engine up and down, and me underneath the car wiggling the gearbox. But the gearbox is very unstable on the ground, so we'll just see how we go. I think it's worth a quick look at these original crackle cover rocker covers on this flat 4 engine. They do need to come off to drop the engine in, because it needs the clearance. So I'll just whip these off. They're only loose because I've had them off before to get the engine out, so there also shouldn't be too much oil around the place. Difficult one-handed, but there we go. That's what she looks like. Familiar to anyone that's seen a flat 4. Good time for a break. The engine's down in the engine bay. The front nut that fixes it in place is loosely in there. Oil cooler's back in. I don't think I actually needed to take the oil cooler out, but hey ho. The power steering pump is sort of still connected out the way, which is good. But time for a cup of tea. Welcome back. Day 2 of the Lancia Flavia engine refit. I'll show you where I got to on day 1. I didn't get that far up my list of jobs to do, but I got the difficult one done. So I got the engine and gearbox bolted back together. I'll show you show you what that looks like. So this cross member, as you can see, is not yet bolted to the subframe, but the gearbox is really heavy, and it's actually still currently resting on the axle stand. The weight of it will be taken by this cross member, which is suspended on 2 great big rubber absorbers, really, to give it a nice smooth ride. From above is the gearbox side, engine side. Yeah, it just looks like a bit of a snake's wedding at the moment, but with the aid of photographs that I took and the instructions and process and order I followed to take it all apart, it should all come back together, hopefully by the end of the morning. We'll see. So I've got the gearbox cross member now on. These are tight. This bolt in the centre isn't yet tight, but I just thought I'd show you this interesting conundrum to do with the centralisation of the engine. So the engine's only supported at the front by this bracket that's bolted to the block, but I'm taking the weight off this cross member with the engine hoist, and as you can see, there's what's that? About 8 mil, I suppose, of side to side movement. So the important thing is to get it not there, but in the middle. Otherwise the engine's just going to be lopsided and the distances won't be right. So that's my next challenge, how to get it in the middle. So I'm making steady progress, getting the engine back in. Obviously all the ancillaries need to be collected from the shed, connected in the car. I'll show you where I've got to. So radiator's back in, all the alternator, belts, the ZF variable power steering system is in. None of the electrical connections yet done. This thing was particularly fiddly to get back in. It's just sort of houses the clutch cable. But yeah, making reasonable progress. The box of bits to go back on is reducing, and the number of empty bags is increasing, so a good sign. Right, made pretty good progress today. There's let me show you how I've got on. It's all sort of, all the ancillaries are plugged back in, exhaust manifolds on. Yeah, I'll just show you the engine bay, how it looks now. So I took quite a few photos when I was taking it apart, although I've done it twice now. Heater hoses this is a bit fiddly, as I mentioned before. All the wiring's back on the alternator. Fans, pulleys back in. Yeah, let me show you the exhaust. It's quite a nice piece of kit, really. So it's a single front to back, goes 4 into, yeah, sort of 4 into 1, I guess, down there. The clearances are quite tight for these bolts, but as the hole at the front of the engine is only fixed by this bolt here, you can loosen it and then move the engine to one side, fix one side of the manifold, move it back, then do the other side. So it's actually easier once you try and think about it rather than just force a Allen key up there. But it's ready for fuel, ready for, oh, hold on, let me just get up. Yeah, so it's now ready for oil and coolant. I'm going to reuse the coolant that was in there, as it only done 1,000 miles or so. I will change the oil though. I've got a Miller's 1060, I think, as recommended by a Lancia man. So yeah, let's get the fluids in and see if we can start it. Right, she's got 5 litres of oil in. I think max is 7. It could fire. I've done the decent thing and sucked the petrol up to the carb, which is obviously disgusting, probably really bad for you, but it saves it churning over loads and loads. So battery's connected, let's see what she does. Got ignition. Where's the choke gone? That's down here, I always forget. Yeah. Choke doesn't want to turn off for some reason. It's just obviously a bit of adjustment, but I have it on full anyway. On these, it's a funky key press to start. See what happens. Well, that should have got the fuel up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's quite nice having the bonnet off. You can see everything. See the carb linkage moving about. Let's see if that's gonna. No, nothing. Take a bit of the choke off. Go and have a look, see why it's not firing. I suspect the reason it's not firing is probably just fuel, to be honest. I couldn't see much in the filters. Let's just try again. I just adjusted the choke, so it will turn itself off. There we go, oil pressure, give me some oil pressure. I also chucked a bit of fuel down the top of the open carb. I think I saw the oil pressure and the oil needle move a little bit there. There we go. So we've got enough oil in the engine to run it, which is good, obviously. Strong, the oil pressure, because it's obviously a freshly built engine and it's 1060 fully synthetic oil. Marvellous. Right, let's just trying to remember what that light is, but that's the handbrake, which I won't take off. Right, I'll turn it off, go and check the oil. In fact, I think I'm going to have a cup of tea. Right, she's all back together. Looking through my list, there's a couple of things unticked. Bonnet's not back on. What else? Anti-roll bar fixings. I'm going to put those on when it's back on the wheels. But everything else is all ticked. All my bags of bits are empty, apart from my bonnet bolts. Only 4 there, there's 2 in the bonnet. Time for a good tidy up in the garage, get all the tools wiped down, and then take it for a spin. Right, well that's the engine back in the Flavia. I really hope that the rear seal that's been put in this time does not leak. It's taken me 4 days to take it out and put it back in. Well, you know, 4 days across 4 days. The only one thing that needs doing, I'll show you. This particular 1815cc Flavia engine has an oil cooler. Let me just show you. There's the oil cooler, and it connects down here. And this particular union here is weeping. It's got a couple of big copper washers which I haven't renewed because I didn't have any, but they're attainable, I'm sure, so I'll get those changed. So it needs to go for a good road test. It'll need more oil once the oil cooler thermostat opens up and refills the oil cooler. Yeah, we're good. So yeah, that's all good, job done. Thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the little Flavia update, and I will see you again soon.